Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you to the most influential urban conservative talk show in the world. Yes, it's the Exceptional Conservative Show live from the nation's capital. We are not ashamed of the good news of conservatism, for it is the power of liberation, first to the Republican and then the Democrat. Yeah! Off to a good night tonight. Tonight's big. You know for a fact, every night on the Exceptional Conservative Show is a live telecast. That's the only way we've been doing it for the past, 5 years now? We getting ready to roll into year number 6 next week. Yes, February 28th, 2011, we started our first program weekly. Mary Brockman joined us as my official bouncer a few years later, and we've never looked back. From Blog Talk to Ustream to the cloud, we are more mighty than the left would love to accept. Mary, my bouncer, is in the chat room tonight. If you diss her, you diss me, you will be dismissed. Mrs. Biggs is watching on the steel screens of live stream and Ustream, keeping everything in order. My good friend Dave Milner is in the chat room, and my very good friend Dan Butcher. Dave was on Dan's show last night along with me and Glenn. And what a huge telecast. Thank you, Mary. Mary says it's been the best 5 years of my life. I agree with you. It's been the best 5 years of mine, too. I love you. Love you, Mary. But Dan the Man Butcher, the top show all time in the history of his 5 years on the air was last night. Big show. Thank you so much, Dan, for allowing us to be on the air talking about Open Heart Closed Case. I got even bigger news for you all tonight. I only want to tell my audience, the left, I know they're down low listeners, but the left will be appalled at what I pulled off today. I want y'all to stay tuned. You know what we do at this particular time of the show? We find our right hand, shimmy it even. There we go. Yeah. We put it over our heart, and we pledge allegiance to the mightiest nation God has ever allowed to exist, the United States of America. Let's get the kids in here, man. Let's get the kids in here.
Ready, begin. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Woo! Yes, ladies and gentlemen, that is so wonderful. If I look studious this evening, it's simply because I happen to be in an intellectual fervor this evening. I want to talk about an issue that I graft so greatly towards my bosom every year, nearly. Of course, it is the tax season. And I know a lot of you all tuned in tonight, you wanted me to carry over what Dan and I were talking about on last night's show. And let me just do this real quick. I need to go to Facebook for just a second. I forgive me for being technical right here, but I'm celebrating the fact that I happen to share the anniversary of my very good friend Dan Butcher. He allowed me to be on his program last night, and I am so appreciative. And then he allowed me to talk about an issue that's so near and dear to me. I mean, he could have easily done what was best in his own eyes in terms of celebrating himself. But I'm telling you that the man is just a wonderful human being. You know that we broadcast live on SHR Media. We also have the great fortune of being on Rebooting Liberty, but High Plains Talk Radio has been so good to me. And when Dan the Man Butcher located me on Blog Talk Radio about 3 or 4 years ago, somewhere in that area, I did think he was joking. I never realized how influential this show really was. And it's leading up to a certain point. I'm going to go to a commercial. But Dan the Man Butcher stood with me through where, I mean, we're virtually linked in our time on the air. And it was a moving experience last night to be on the air with him talking about Shanice Milton. And Dan is the man. I agree with you. Dan the Man Butcher. He could have done anything else with his show, and yet he yielded it to a conversation about my daughter. Dan, you got my heart, man. You got my heart. Whatever you need down in the great Republic of Texas, you let me know. I'll be down there faster than the boll weevil is on straw. I will just tell you that. Yeah, I got some Texas. I know a little something. That can be dangerous. And to have Dave Milner, my very good friend from the wonderful state of Vermont, there with me, and Glenn also there. Glenn had come on my program. We had talked about his immigration issue. I'm glad to see that it's nearly resolved. He's working it through. But I put in the chat roll here the site that you can go to, and I'm going to encourage everyone, just get that show out. It is the all-time most listened to show, live and post-record, for Dan Butcher's radio show, and I'm honored. I'm honored, and they didn't come there for me. They came for Dan. And Dan opened up the floodgates that a message could get out to the rest of the world, and I really appreciate that. Also want to thank him so much for getting Sasha Boutonnet from Germany to come and cover the story of Charnice. He's working on that right now, and we'll be finalizing it in the next few weeks for publication in Europe. But Dan is the very rare conservative media publisher. Dan cares about the same issues that I care about as much as he cares about the same issues you care about. And so as he goes into year number 6, I pray that his business grows threefold, sevenfold, 21-fold better and bigger than it ever was. Dave Milner has let me know that he's originally from Texas. So I bestow upon you some of my own Texas mojo. Thank you, sir. I accept that. And you can get all this insight from the exceptionalconservative.show.com if you just come on over to the chat roll and stick in there. But Dan, my heart to you and to Jane, who does all the hard work, and you get all the credit. And to you for setting an example that the Blaze can't follow, and all the other conservative sycophants wish they could actually possess themselves. You have a propensity to put truth before all men, no matter who or what is impacted. And I really love you, and I appreciate you. I really love you, Dave Milner. You are my very good friend, and I love playing your stuff. You are one of the best commentators in America, and your stuff needs to really, really get blown up around the world so people can hear you. And, of course, Mary Brockman, who is my heart and soul. She found me when I only had one person listening, and that was my wife. So And I was really like a week away from saying, you know what, screw this. I mean, I could be doing other things. But as we all celebrate our anniversaries for being the leaders of the conservative mainstream, yeah, because actually that leftist stuff is not mainstream. We are what Fox wish it were. Just very simple. We break stuff well before everybody else does. We get the news out there. We do the same stuff that people wish still happened. And we're journalists. We are advocates. We are proponents. So virtually, we are not the sycophants. We are not the ones who are just going to give you the talking points that we're ushered out at 6 in the morning by the RNC or the DNC. We're going to give you the truth, and where it lies, so be it. No problem whatsoever. I know that I've run past time. I know, in fact, I'm 4 minutes past that time in which I'm supposed to take my break. And I do apologize for all those on the networks that are following me. I just wanted to say a few kind words to very good friends. My wife and I, Mrs. Biggs, love you all with all of our heart, with all of our soul. And while we're a week away from celebrating our anniversary here on the air, I so much love the fact that you all have stood by us and stood with us and watched us grow incrementally to being so influential, even in leftist politics. And when we come back, I want to tell you about what was pulled off today that the left will not appreciate. It takes courage to do stuff that ain't easy. And every night I come before you, trying to give you the very best of me, it ain't easy. I love you all. Thank you all so much. We will be right back right after we hear from my good friend, Dave.
Time for an unpleasant blind guy, conservative bite. Members of minority groups can say, "We have arrived," when the larger community accepts them quietly and they can go about their daily business as equal participant members of that community. But for some in the United States of America today, that's not enough, and this is exemplified in a story posted on February the 19th, 2016 by Darian Trotter of WOAI-TV, Channel 4, San Antonio, Texas.
What about the blind? What about us?
Chris and Season like to get out and about, so when the San Antonio Stock Show and Rodeo kicked off last weekend, they were among the first to attend.
Overall, it was very disappointing.
Disappointing because as a blind couple, they felt the rodeo wasn't prepared to accommodate people with their specific disability.
Nobody really helped us at all.
After a loved one dropped them off, they say they were left to wander aimlessly. They expected there would be some type of guidance from staffers.
That really means a lot to a blind person.
What we would have liked would be maybe to have somebody kind of take us through and just say, okay, this is where the food is, or, this is the ponies, or whatever the case is, and then they could have left us.
Out of frustration, they eventually left. News 4 San Antonio reached out to the rodeo about their disappointing experience. A spokeswoman says the rodeo has information booths manned with volunteers who are happy to assist with directions.
How are we supposed to find the information desk if nobody is telling us that it's there?
The spokeswoman also said if someone requests a guided tour in advance, volunteers would be
I feel that I shouldn't give any business a warning.
Oh my God! I'm sorry! I'm so sorry! What did they just say?
When they see the light came.
Hold up! Hold up! What did they just say? How are we supposed to find the information? Oh my God.
They eventually laughed. News 4 San Antonio reached out to the rodeo about their disappointing experience. A spokeswoman says the rodeo has information booths manned with volunteers who are happy to assist with directions.
How are we supposed to find the information desk if nobody is telling us that it's there?
Guided tour in advance,
I shouldn't give any business a warning.
If I'm going to go to a first game, would I have to call them and tell them that a blind couple is going? Or should they offer help when they see the white cane?
We'll leave alone the obvious that this couple could have done research through websites and telephone. They could have been accommodated on site when they arrived at the stock show and rodeo. The larger picture that this story represents is the same as stories of students demanding safe spaces in colleges and universities, and others demanding that they be allowed to engage in any behavior that they wish to because their ancestors were once oppressed. For those who don't know, the blind are a minority in every sense of the word. Blind of the past knew slavery, government-imposed extermination, and sterilization. They knew public ridicule, and even today, the unemployment rate among the work-able blind is north of 70%. But those of us who want to be an integral part of the larger society understand that the onus is on us to be responsible for our actions and to prove through those actions that we are worthy not only of help and acceptance, but of that moment of ultimate pride when our sighted brothers and sisters will accept help from us. Others could learn from that. This has been an unpleasant blind guy conservative fight.
This man has shaved his chest hair into a heart. Oh, you stole mine. Right swipe it.
Right swipe. Right swipe. That kind of looks like my sister. It does. But I know she's not.
He's cuddling. I can't.
Oh my God, I want to eat their faces.
Oh, she's hot.
Oh, wait a minute.
That's a lollipop. Oh, that is not a lollipop. Left swipe.
That's nice.
This must be some kind of job. If you make your mouth tight and I'm not tight, if you do it in a cloud of smoke, let's swipe. Swipe it left. Yeah. You gotta swipe it left. You gotta swipe it left. That's the stuff I don't like, so I gotta left swipe that. Look at you with your shirt off, flexing. You're buff, but you puff, hashtag perplexing. Yeah, you worked out, you're in shape, okay. I like the six-pack abs, not the six-packs a day.
Came across a photo of this green-eyed hottie, whole nine, pretty face, tight waist, nice body. I just couldn't overlook one small fact. She smokes like an old man at a racetrack.
This must be some kind of job. If you make your mouth tight and I'm not tight, if you do it in a cloud of smoke, I just left swipe, bow bow. I just left swipe.
Let's swipe that.
You gotta swipe it left.
Yeah.
You gotta swipe it
Let's
left.
swipe that.
You gotta swipe it left. That's the stuff I don't like, so I gotta left swipe that.
Mr. World Traveler, trips look expensive. Sitting on a mountaintop looking all offensive. I was about to ask, how's the air up there? But based on this pic, I guess you don't really care.
Lots of chicks in the pic, not sure which one's you. Them cigarettes are taking y'all from 10s to 2s. And one thing's true about your whole crew, none of you cigarella's gonna be my boo.
The tiger?
Let's swipe that.
While you're on a hang glider?
Let's swipe that. Smoking while acting healthy. Let's swipe that.
Smoking all stealthy?
Let's swipe that. Smoking with a duck face. Let's swipe that.
At a monster truck race?
Let's swipe that. Smoking at the prom. Let's swipe that.
Even in a photo bomb?
He don't care. Let's swipe that.
You gotta swipe it left.
Yeah.
You gotta swipe it
Let's
left.
swipe that.
You gotta swipe it left. That's the stuff I don't like, so I gotta left swipe that. You gotta swipe it left.
Yeah.
Hashtag.
I'll never remember you.
Hi, my name is Christopher Arnold. I'm the executive chef of Infused Restaurant. And today I'm going to walk you through some of the meals that we prepared here. So we're making a pizza. We use French Italian sausage, cook here and slice it up. Our pizza dough is an in-house made. Our pizza sauce is in-house made. So everything is fresh and ingredients. This is our Thai curry chicken. The sauce is made with coconut milk and the Thai red curry. It is juicy chicken thighs as well as some mixed vegetables, served with jasmine rice and pita bread. So now we're going to prepare our famous blackened tilapia and grits, our fish and grits on the menu. And our meal will be complete. Let me tell you about our infused heat burgers. When we kick the spice up just a little bit with our infused sauce. We start off with 80-20 USDA ground chuck ham patty burgers, like half a pound of burgers, and we're going to grill it to perfection. After I flip the burger, we add the sauce and let it cook on into the meat just a little bit. We're going to add a little bit of pepper jack cheese to this burger to spice it up a bit.
That's what I'm talking about. You need to order up. With all that laughter and frivolity, you need to be in a place, an atmosphere that has also good food. Infused Restaurant is one of those. 6339 Allentown Road, Temple Hills, Maryland, 20748. The telephone number is 301-449-9000, 301-449-9000. Infused.com. Go to that site. Order your catering. And since some of y'all are going to be here in CPAC, you might as well make your way over to Infused Restaurant. Might as well enjoy yourself, have a good meal. I mean, not that you won't have a good meal over at Gaylord and stuff. Wink, wink. I suggest you go out there in the farmland. Get yourself a real meal. No. Oh, that was hilarious. Let me just play for you all one more time why I'm laughing so much.
Cases, and then they could have left us.
Out of frustration, they eventually left. News 4 San Antonio reached out to the rodeo about their disappointing experience. A spokeswoman says the rodeo has information booths manned with volunteers who are happy to assist with directions.
How are we supposed to find the information desk if nobody is telling us that it's there?
Charles, what you say about Charles Barkley? Say something.
That's terrible. That's terrible.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Dave Mills said, what's sad is those fools couldn't call to find out where those were. It's amazing. I feel I need to just star this clip right here because there's so much that comes off the left that it's a constant reminder. Constant reminder.
That's terrible.
Thank you, Charles.
That's terrible.
Someone's got to tell you where the information booths are. Normally they're at the entrance. I'm just saying, I know you're blind, but if you get one of those dogs or something that can point out where the entrance is, normally you'll find the information desk. For the future, I just want to let you know, very rarely do people put the information desk at the exit of a building. Normally they just put it right up front where you can see it. Poor Dave Milner. These are the people who get the oil or the grease on the squeaky wheel. I don't know who the ball player is who says knucklehead. I don't know. Oh man, I don't think blindness is their greatest handicap. Let me just say that. Can I see? And this is that territory where I'm not afraid to say what's on my mind because it's probably what you're thinking too. Okay, blindness is not an excuse for ignorance. It really isn't. Poor Stevie Wonder must be quite upset. They represent his fair group. So there you go. Thank you, Dave. Oh man, Dave Milner. You gotta love Dave. Guess who just befriended me? Jennifer Carroll. Yes, Jennifer Carroll, former Lieutenant Governor of Florida, just befriended me on Facebook. Oh, what a great honor. And I have not had the opportunity of reading to you, and I think I'll do that in the last quarter of our program, the essay, right after our very good friend, the most handsome man in radio, Lonnie Poindexter, comes on with us. Where else are you going to put the information booth? I'm sorry. How does Stevie find the keys? I don't know. Guess he found the information desk. When people tell you that you can't laugh about certain things, it's probably because they're squeamish. I don't mind laughing. We all have flaws. We all have things that we need to work on, but certainly that was a bit much right there. That, my friends, was a bit much to take tonight. I want to talk with you tonight about the Internal Revenue Service. I want to give you a little history. Okay, because do you believe that at one time in our country, there was no federal income tax? I want you to really think about that. Okay? That at one time in our country, the dollar that you earned was your dollar. Your intellectual capital was your capital. It was your idea. It was your possession. There was not an inheritance tax, meaning that you weren't penalized because your forefathers had wisdom given to them liberally by the creator that they believed in and asked for, and showed the wherewithal of their great inventions and great investments, and farm land. All that stuff was passed on, and it was not taxed at the federal level. Can you imagine a life in which the federal government was not reaching into your purse before you got your check? The history, a brief history on the federal income tax and the Federal Reserve. We must repeal each in order for our nation to prosper.
The federal income tax and the Federal Reserve. In hopes of further weakening the power of big business, Wilson worked diligently at convincing Congress to lower tariffs. In 1913, he called a special session of Congress to plead his case for significantly reducing tariffs for the first time since the Civil War. This meeting established the precedent of the President of the United States delivering the State of the Union address to Congress in person. Businesses were working hard at lobbying Congress as well. As the tariff debate consumed Washington, D.C., armies of lobbyists hired by corporations to persuade Congress descended on the Capitol. Wilson urged Americans to monitor the votes of their senators. In the end, the Revenue Act of 1913 was signed into law, and the bill, also known as the Underwood Act, is considered a major triumph for President Wilson. Now that tariff rates had drastically been lowered, the federal government had to find a way to replace the revenue. The 16th Amendment, ratified in 1913, legalized the use of an income tax. This new tax would generate funding for the federal government by taxing corporate profits and the individual earnings of U.S. citizens. By 1917, the federal government was receiving more revenue from the income tax than tariffs had ever brought in. Today, income and corporate taxes represent the bulk of the federal government's funding. With the income tax in place, Wilson focused his attention on financial reform. Wilson hoped to strengthen the American banking system and find a way to control the amount of money in circulation. Wilson knew that the supply of money and the availability of credit needed to keep pace with the American economy. Wilson hoped to create a decentralized private banking system that could be placed under federal control. The Federal Reserve Act of 1913 created 12 districts across the United States and established a regional central bank for each district. These would serve as bankers' banks for the district. These reserve banks had the ability to issue paper currency during emergency situations, and member banks were granted the freedom to make loans with the money. Federal Reserve banks could also transfer money to the member banks during a crisis in hopes of preventing banks from failing. The Federal Reserve System is seen as another major achievement of Wilson's presidency, and it remains in use today as the basis for controlling and maintaining America's banking system.
Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to thank the good people of Reading Through History for providing that particular source of information via YouTube. But I want you to also understand, while we will have shows in the coming weeks regarding the Federal Reserve, because I'm the kind of geek who does that kind of thing, I want you to understand that the 16th Amendment has virtually taken, it's, how do I say this without being, you can't say it without being controversial. You have socialized businesses because there are fettered interests at this point. The federal government gets its revenue by taking it from you. I'm going to repeat that. The Federal Reserve uses the power to print, to either increase the value or decrease the value of the dollar, and as well to increase the supply of currency essential to maintaining what most would consider monopolistic banks of today. It is the 16th Amendment that has given the right of government to seize your property in order to maintain its stability. Literally, if you were to take away the 16th Amendment, and this is why they don't like me talking about repealing the 16th and 17th Amendments. First and foremost, you repeal the 17th Amendment, now the senators can't just willy-nilly decide what they're going to do on their own. They have to be accountable to somebody. The 16th Amendment literally gives control and power of your wealth, of your business's wealth, to the government. Now, do you understand why? Do you understand really why businesses do not want to bring their money from overseas back here to be taxed again? Their liberty and your liberty is based on them being able to be free from fettered interests of government. And anybody ever been around an addict? I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Anybody ever been around an addict? They can be as nice and as sweet, as and kind and noble to you, but all the time they're thinking, I gotta get my hit. I gotta do what I gotta do to get my hit, so I'm gonna be nice to you. I'm going to be sweet to you. I'm going to cajole you. And then I'm going to try to persuade you. And then I'm going to try to make you understand. And I'm going to ask you for a little bit here and a little bit there. And then eventually, when you go to sleep, I'm going to knock you out and take what I can. That's what we have done by allowing the federal government to excise an income tax. They literally have been given the authority, taking it away from the states. They have been given the authority to not only centralize planning, but also to take away your wealth. I want to play this clip for you real quick.
Hello, my name is Van, and I'm running for the United States Senate here in Arizona. I'd like to talk to you a little bit about our debt, or maybe we need to cover Obamacare a little bit on this, because people seem to talk about it all the time. Now that the Supreme Court has ruled on this subject and they use it as a tax system, it gives us a perfect opportunity to take away the 16th Amendment, which gives the federal government power to tax us. If you abolish the 16th Amendment, you abolish Obamacare. You also abolish any form of health care from the federal government that the Republicans even want to put forth. I hear them talking about this now, about reforming it or making better rules or better this or better that. The federal government doesn't belong in health care on either side of the aisle. And if you abolish the 16th Amendment and go to a fair tax, we will open up our economy once again to be thriving. Another amendment, when you look at it in the Constitution, forbids the federal government from owning any land in our country. If we would restore that constitutional declaration in our lives on a daily basis, sovereignty comes back to the states. The states then are the ones who make the decisions about whether you drill for oil, our natural gas, our gold, our copper, our coal, or any other asset within those borders, not the federal government. This would once again give us, all of us, states that are flourishing all around the country. We don't need other nations' energy to make us thrive. We have our own. We just need the freedom restored to us that the Constitution guarantees, that our federal government over the years has consistently taken away while we've sat back and grown our families and had a house and tried to live a decent life, and they've taken it away from us. We have got to restore the Constitution, all of it, so that we can once again be both a free country and have sovereign states. If we don't do this, we are destined to once again end up on the trash heap of history as a one-time free country that is now nothing more than a socialist, progressive, communist state. Because that's, my friends, what they're doing to us. If you can understand what I'm talking to you about this, read your Constitution, see how many laws they violate, see what you need to do, and see if you can come and support us and aid us in this fight.
It is a fight. And I appreciate Van. Thank you so much, U.S. Senate candidate back in 2012. But as the founding fathers wanted our nation not to be deprived of the right to make wealth. If you go back to Deuteronomy 8:18, God has given us the power to make wealth. So why would you allow 100 guys sitting in a room in Washington, D.C. to take away your family's wealth? Why would you allow 435 guys and gals sitting in a room in Washington, D.C. to divvy up how much money you made this week into projects that test whether swine can share DNA with one another, or a gold bathtub for a congressional, any of these wasteful things. Why do you want them using your money to do that? Before the 16th Amendment, the states had to approve the budget that the federal government had. You could, if you were building in Virginia a ship using taxpayer dollars from Mississippi and California, do you really think those other states would allow you to put in crap that didn't fit? They will hold you accountable. When you lost the accountability with the inducement of the 16th Amendment, you gave power and authority to a centralized central planning organization called the U.S. Congress, now to spend at will. And you can look at all the charts. After the 16th Amendment, our national debt began to soar. So why are you talking about this, Ken, tonight? Why are you going to get on your soapbox and tell us all about why we need to get rid of the 16th Amendment? I think I've already told you why, but the reason I want to do tonight is simply because we need nights where, since we have to play by their game, I want you to be able to win it. And I want to welcome you to the IRS Steel Cage. It is the improbable tax deductions that make our season the most enjoyable. I want to give you tonight some of the most improbable tax deductions that your government said no to, but the court said yes to, and you can do it. Right here. Right here. Now, this is in Forbes. This is February 22. That's today, in fact. And I want to give you some of the crazy sounding tax deductions that the IRS or the tax court says are legit. Too legit to quit. Yeah, have to do it like this. Now, all of us regret the fact that we have to wait till nearly the end of May to earn enough money to pay back all the taxes that we are being charged. Well, I want to tell you the story of Chesty Love. Do you all mind if I tell you the story about Chesty Love, or should I go to? I need to go to break real quick. Let me go to the break real quick, because the people along the networks, SHR Media, home of the Sackhead Clint, Sackhead Sean, Free Sacco, also rebooting Liberty, and what is that network that celebrated its anniversary last night? High Plains Talk Radio. They all need a space and time to make profit. So I'm going to give you them space and time to make profit. When we return, I want to talk with you about Chesty Love and how Chesty Love may be your best friend. Better than a tax accountant. We'll be right back. You're listening to the Exceptional Conservative Show, live from Washington, D.C.
I'm a good person. I never bothered anybody. But I can't afford a nice house in a safe neighborhood. I live in a government high-rise. Gangbangers and drug dealers walk down our halls every day. My neighbors and I were scared. We called the police, but they can't keep us safe. Some of us are too afraid to even leave our apartments. But the housing authority told me if I bought a gun to protect myself, they throw me to the streets. If I'm not free because of my address today, what makes you think you'll be free tomorrow? I marched behind Martin Luther King at Selma. I know my rights. Now I have my gun. I am the National Rifle Association of America, and I'm freedom's safest place.
I was born in Greece in 1939. Nazi warplanes bombed us unmercifully. Executions in the streets were common. I saw horror you could never Imagine. Human beings became animals, starving and desperate. But me, I was lucky. Soon after the war, I saw the Statue of Liberty, and I cried. I've been blessed by the freedom and opportunity only America can offer. Today, I feel a duty to speak out. There will always be evil in this world, but the one thing that separates America from every other country is our freedom. And the one freedom that protects all the others is our Second Amendment. Never give it up. Never. I am the National Rifle Association of America, and I am freedom's safest place.
In a recent closed-door speech to donors, politicians, and media, Bill Clinton spoke about American gun owners. Quote, a lot of these people, all they've got is their hunting and their fishing, or they've been listening to this stuff for so long that they believe it all, unquote. And we all remember Barack Obama's 2008 comments to a room of San Francisco elites. Quote, it's not surprising then they get bitter. They cling to guns or religion, unquote. The arrogance of their superiority requires this reminder. They don't rule us. They don't give us rights. We grant them power. They don't make us safe. We pay to protect them. They don't make us free. We're free already. And as long as we have the Second Amendment, we always will be. We are America, and our politicians are only as powerful as we, the people, allow them to be.
Welcome back to the most influential urban conservative talk show in the world. I know you searched the world over. You've gotten kind of bored with the Rush Limbaughs, and the Michael Savages, and the Mark Levins of the world, and you want to try a little dark chocolate. More like vanilla cream, but you know, hey, however way you drink it, coffee just as sweet. I am the exceptional one. You are listening to the Exceptional Conservative Show live from Washington, D.C. Mrs. Biggs is watching via Ustream and live stream. Mary Brockman holding down the fort in the SHR Media Live chat room. You can easily get there by going to the exceptionalconservativeshow.com. We're talking about the 16th Amendment, my friends. The 16th Amendment. I know some of you all think that without a shadow of a doubt that the 16th Amendment was intended for us to make our country bigger and better. Oh, why not steal directly? Tax directly the people's income. That way you'll get your money directly, you bureaucrats. And then you can go on and do whatever you want to do with it. Take trips and flights and things of that nature to wherever you wish to go. But the truth of the matter is this. The 16th Amendment, like Mary says in our chat room, is enslaving us all. It is a befuddlement of what our founding fathers welcomed and wanted. And that's why today we can look to people like Chesty Love. Chesty Love is a young woman who understood that, you know, it's her money. She should be able to keep it. And so in order to take her money, they're going to have to prove that they can take it from her. And I believe like she does. Well, Christy Love did something that I found was quite what. Chesty Love. Don't get upset, ladies. Don't get upset. Yeah, maybe she's into feet or something. That's why they call her Chesty Love. I don't know why. She had cosmetic surgery. Chesty Love. Can you imagine? Okay. I don't have to give it away at this point. You kind of figure where she had her cosmetic surgery. In fact, in order to get bigger tips as a entertainer, can we pole entertainer? Can we use that? I suppose. Okay. She decided she wanted to expand her territory, the territory that she possesses already. So she is a woman who believes that her body belongs to her. Must have been pro-choice or something, because she chose a huge bra size. She chose to have surgery to make her breast 56 double F. Cha-ching! And honey, I am not laughing at you. Let me shift the papers. Just reporting the news, honey. Just reporting the news. Now, when she wrote off her cosmetic surgery, the IRS said it was non-deductible cosmetic surgery. But in Hess versus Commissioner, the tax court allowed tax benefits, allowing her to claim the implants as depreciable assets, a type of stage prop. Yes, her boobs, her big boobs, are tax deductible. Ladies, it's time for you all to grab a pole and get bigger breasts so you can write that stuff off for your This is crazy, but this is what the tax code is allowed. In Bruce versus Commissioner, Bruce hired his live-in girlfriend. And hopefully I put these in the chat roll so you all might see it, and you got to see it to believe it. In Bruce versus Commissioner, Bruce hired his live-in girlfriend to find furniture, oversee repairs at rental properties, and to run his personal household. The IRS said deducting her pay was not legit, but Bruce went to tax court and he won. The court said $2,500 of the $9,000 he paid her was a business expense, but paying her for housekeeping chores was non-deductible. So there you go. Notice, the IRS may be big and bad and can huff and puff, but you, my friend, have a friend sometimes in the court. Now, I'm not saying the tax court is going to be your best friend, but you do have rights. Even with the 16th Amendment stealing directly out of your wallets. I know some of you ladies think you're 45, it's too late, you'll never find someone to marry. Invest in cats. That you gotta have at least 50 cats in your household in order to feel at peace, you know. Well, in this particular case, and I know you all were expecting me to do some of these, you know, bra. I forget bra. Oh wow. Highbrow. Forgive me. Deductions, and we'll talk about those deductions in the coming period there. But it's wow, that bra thing. It's bigger than you think. A California cat lady got national press for decision allowing vet bills and cat food as charitable contributions. But after she beat the IRS, she faced animal cruelty charges. The IRS says you can even deduct moving expenses for your pet, and they are not even subject to alternative minimum tax. Yes, if you are changing jobs and meet several tests, the IRS says you can deduct moving expenses for your pets. You can even write off cat food and vet bills as charitable contributions. I'm just saying. And then finally, in C. Wright versus Commissioner, a couple ran a junkyard. They put out food to attract wildcats to control snakes and rats, making the junkyard safer for customers. When they claimed the cat food as a business expense, the IRS said no way. But the tax court said, da-da-da-da-da-da, yes, you can write that off because it made your business property safer. It was a business expense. Okay, I'm sorry. Here's another one real quick, and I'll let it go. There's just so many of these, but I'll just let it go. After Mr. Roars drank too much at a party, he waited for hours until he was okay to get his car. Still, he drove off the road and was arrested. His car was damaged, and the insurance company refused to cover it. So Mr. Roars paid for the repairs and deducted them. It was a casualty loss, he claimed. The IRS said no, but the tax court allowed his deduction. So, ladies and gentlemen, I know for a fact that I got a big claim coming up next time I file my taxes in 2016 for something that was done with my car this year that I did not file with my insurance company. I'm just telling you. Ladies and gentlemen, there are lots of privileges and lots of rights, lots of things. You can even write off a private air travel. You can write off a private jet that you purchase. It's lots of stuff you can write off. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for you to lose that proletariat thinking and move into bourgeoisie neighborhood. Learn how to make deductions, baby. Become an owner economy, not a labor economy. The more you labor, the more vain the owners become. We'll be right back with more of the best in Urban Conservative Talk. You're listening to the Exceptional Conservative Show live from the nation's capital, and we're going to make you richer today than you've ever been. Coming up, Lonnie Poindexter. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you know what time it is. You're listening to the most influential urban conservative talk show in America. It is the Exceptional Conservative Show. We are live from the nation's capital. If you did not know that, now you do. Kids, take it away. Put your hand over your chest and let us pledge allegiance.
Raise your parents. Ready? Begin. sing. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Woo! Yeah, that's the way we do it. Ladies and gentlemen, we are about to bring on none other than the most handsome man in radio.
This service is provided by freeconferencecall.com. You are the only participant in the conference.
That's really sad. That's really sad. We're waiting for none other than the most handsome man in radio, the man known as the Lion Chaser Emeritus, Lonnie Poindexter. That's a traveling man. Lonnie Poindexter is a seriously traveling man. He's welcomed so many places around the world. While we're listening to this intro music, and we like to thank Free Conference Call for being free, of course. No, Mary, we cannot write off illegal aliens. At least we can't, but they can get earned income tax credits. Wow. No, we're talking to Lonnie. Lonnie is in the queue right now. Lonnie is in the queue. Good evening, Lonnie. Music. We love the music, baby. We'll hear when he comes over and comes in. Yeah. We're asking him to make some noise if he's in the queue. There you go. We want him to make some noise. Hopefully you all enjoying the music. Think of yourselves on an elevator. It's just, yeah. Sooner or later, I'll be in my hotel room. Yeah. I want to give you just, can I give you one other crazy tax deduction that you can use? It's wow. It's absolutely wow. Okay. Cherry versus commissioner. Cherry versus commissioner. And this is why you always, if you're going to do something, make sure that you have some law behind you. Okay. Are we talking with Lonnie Poindexter right now? We're waiting for Lonnie Poindexter at this particular juncture. Why don't you hear me? All right. Okay, we're gonna try this. We can't seem to get Lonnie. We're gonna try this one more time, and I'm just trying to figure out why we can't. Why we? Hello, testing. Testing. All right, the system's working. Same as system. Okay. Testing. 1, 2. We're gonna connect now.
Welcome. This service is provided by freeconferencecall.com.
No,
you are the only participant in the conference.
The only participant. Why am I the only participant? You all are listening. I don't understand why I'm the only participant. Yeah. All right, Lonnie, we missing you, man. Let's get through. He says, I hear music, but I don't hear you. And I don't understand why you don't hear me. Do I have to... Oh, boy, I tell you, it's... Pew, 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 pew. Yeah. You just wish sometimes stuff would go perfectly, but it doesn't always. It doesn't always. So, I'm just wondering, why can't I hear you this time? Okay. All right. Because I don't want... I really don't want to hear the music. I don't. It's like being on the elevator. We don't hear him either. I try calling. Try calling again. Thank you, Mary. I am going to try calling again. He says, Lonnie, I hear some great guitar music. Yeah, I know. I don't understand why I can't get you. Oh, man, I tell you. If it ain't one, it's another. Okay, and let's do the preferences, host audio. Testing, 1, 2, 3, testing, 1, 2, 3.
Welcome to the conferencing service.
There we go. And it's working. It's working. Thank you. Okay. Let's try this one more time.
Welcome. This service is provided by freeconferencecall.com. You are the only participant in the conference.
The only guy in here. No, we're not going to listen to music. Okay. Lonnie, we're going to work it out this week. We're going to work it out this week to make certain. Yeah, I did. Mary, it is always a learning curve, and I hate it too. Lonnie's messaging me. He says, I hear some great guitar music. Okay. We have to go Philistine here, I guess. Okay. We're going to try to get Lonnie a different way. I pray that you're able to hear him. Okay. Here we go. We're going to try this. This is very, very... Hello, Lonnie Poindexter. It's a pleasure. It's an honor to have you on the air with us tonight.
Hey, brother, thanks for letting me join you and your illustrious listeners out there in radio.
Well, thank you so much for being with us tonight. It said, get out the tin cans and drink it. Thank you very much, Dave. That's what we're doing right now. Listen, you are a traveling man. You are traveling almost daily around the world for some reason or the other. Tell us, where are you? Where did you get back from, and where are you headed to?
Well, I just got back a little over a week ago from Israel. Had a wonderful trip there. It's everything that they say it is, and then some. Everyone kept telling me it will change you. You won't be the same when you return, and they were about Israel. They're all put to bed when you get there. You see the wonderful work that tiny nation is doing. And get this, they're only 67 years old, man, but you think that they had been at it for well over a couple hundred years. I mean, at least as old as America in terms of the infrastructure that they built there.
Awesome, completely awesome. So you've been to Israel. You're back in town, but that's only for a short period.
That's right. I leave for, I'll be this week in Nashville, Tennessee, attending the National Religious Broadcasters Conference. Very excited about that. That is an annual event where the broadcasters, from the religious perspective, meaning the Christian broadcasting community, gets together and co-mingles and cross-pollinates, and iron sharpens iron, and and strategizes on what we can do to get the truth out in media. You know, what you and I do daily on our radio program, you get to connect with individuals like that from across this great nation. In fact, internationally, there'll be people coming in from all over the world. So I'm very excited about this. This is my second trip to Nashville to this event.
Terrific. Listen, you scooped me last week, and I was so proud of you and envious at the same time.
Well, I told you I was going to be you when I grow up, so. I scooped you. I learned it from you.
Well, you did a great job, sir, because you had on last week's big superstar, you had on Patrick Hampton. Can you let everyone know exactly who Patrick Hampton is?
Patrick D. Hampton is a tremendous warrior for Christ. He is a lion chaser in every sense of the word. The young man is just bold and fearless in speaking truth to power. As I'm sure you're aware of, he started the Boycott Beyonce Facebook fan page, which has something like, I don't know, well over 45,000 likes. It's only been up a little over a week and continues to grow exponentially. And he's getting a lot of heat for it. A lot of folks don't like the fact that he's calling Beyonce out on her foolishness and stating that she was playing footloose and fancy free with law enforcement in terms of how it's depicted in society today. And I agree, we've got law enforcement on pins and needles. You've got people taking pot shots of them, people literally shooting them. We've had law enforcement officers that have lost their lives. And the last thing we need is, particularly in urban communities, law enforcement not to give a darn anymore.
Now, what exactly is Patrick upset about? I mean, she did grind and she entertained and billions of people around the world watched her. They enjoyed her music. Why is he so upset?
Beyonce's no different than Madonna, Janet Jackson, or any of the others that are out there, Christina Aguilera, any of the others that gain international fame, and for some reason they turn into burlesque dancers. And so we know that. But what happens when you start to mix that with political commentary, I think that you become fair game to catch heat in return. If she was depicting the events as it relates to law enforcement dealing with the African American community from an accurate perspective, it'd be one thing. But she's driving a false narrative. You and I talk about it all the time. Patrick is one of these kind of guys that he's not going to take what's politically correct at surface value and say that's the truth. He's going to do his research, and he did his research, and he determined, which you and I both already know, that this whole I don't even know what to call this whole mantra about this open season on young black males with the police department. It's a myth. It doesn't. The data does not support it, and this is data you can get from the CDC and any other government agencies. It'll tell you what the actual data is on police interaction with young black males. And so for her to pick number one, to bring up the past of the Black Panthers, which is controversial to begin with, and then steep that with that video called Formation, I think it's called, which you're jumping up and down on police cars, and police cars are underwater and all this other foolishness. You're stirring up the passionately misinformed, in my humble opinion. You got a lot of folks out there who don't know their history, only know what they see in the 30-second soundbite in the news, and they're off to the races with it. Next thing you know, you got Black Lives Matter showing up at your front door.
Now, Patrick, being a relative Christian and conservative, and has run for office in the, I believe it's Chattanooga, Tennessee, that he lives in. If I'm erroneous, please let me know. uh, and he's run for school board, and he's made an impact on young lives there, helping young people who are in trouble, at risk per se. But what exactly is Patrick upset about? I mean, all she did was dance. What exactly does he pinpoint as provocative in her performance at the Super Bowl?
Well, it's one thing to have, he's got 4 boys. And it's one thing to have them turn their head while they watch the performance. He's got 4 young boys, very young. He's got this youngest, I don't think is a year old yet. And it's another thing for them to watch, as he told me, and I interviewed him, he says, I think the second of the oldest boys, Daddy, why does she have her fist up in the air? Daddy, why is she dancing in her underwear? So all these types of things. He said, Lonnie, why should I have to explain that to my child at a Super Bowl event, which is supposed to be family friendly? I said, well, that all went out the window when Janet had her famous wardrobe malfunction, and when they had Cher and all these other girls gyrating on platforms out there on the 50-yard line. And so that's where he took offense, and then he called her off with the police. He says, wait a minute, so you're saying that the police department is open season on young black males. You have this huge constituency that follows you all over the world. They've got churches that worship Beyonce. I know you've heard of this, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So this individual she has pull, so she is responsible for what she puts out there, especially if it causes folks to put themselves in harm's way.
Judgment Day is going to be so much fun. I'm going to take popcorn with me. We're talking with Lonnie Poindexter, Lion Chaser extraordinaire from Urban Family Talk Radio. We're talking about his scoop last week interviewing Patrick Hampton. And Patrick Hampton is leading the world charge, the All Lives Matter charge, in protest of Black Panther Beyonce. BPB, Black Panther Beyonce. Now, I received a meme from Dr. Michael Hughes that told me that Black Panther Party never killed a single white person. And he is no longer my Facebook friend, not by my choice, but he was beaten down so badly on my radio program. I don't think I'm invited back to the family reunions anymore. But you grew up in Los Angeles. Can you tell people about, which is close to Oakland, can you tell people about the Black Panther movement, what it meant in the 60s and 70s?
I certainly can. I was old enough to know about the Black Panthers. I grew up in Southern California, but they're based out of Oakland. I had family members in Oakland. In fact, it's not something I make readily available to people. I actually had a family member that was very high-ranking up in the Black Panthers for a period of time before he turned his life over to the Lord. And the Black Panthers had, from their inception, noble goals and a noble mantra, which Oakland police department had a reputation for running roughshod over young black males in the community. It was known throughout the region. And so they stood up. And so it was commendable of them standing up. But there's also some other things that took place within the Black Panthers. I saw a lot of the propaganda that came through because the family member that I had used to send things to us. And so for black people to say that the Black Panthers did not have any angst against white people is a myth and a lie. Let me just put it out there. Let me put it this way. They like, I guess I can say this on your show. They like chasing white women. White folks other than that. And they made no bones about that. That was something that was in their literature. It was, became a propaganda mill. And we know that they had a tragic demise, and they got to running up against the federal government and the state and local police departments in the area. And you know about the tragic end to what happened. So maybe noble beginnings at the beginning. But here's the deal. My opinion is this. When you look to start any kind of movement where you're trying to push back on oppression and you're not using godly principles, it can't have a positive end. We know this from history standpoint. Dr. Martin Luther King and the civil rights movement and the many leaders, the unsung leaders that stood with him in that movement, used godly principles to be effective, and the rest is history.
Exactly.
Samplers are no more because they did not use that. And that's now, a lot of folks want to argue. I got a lot of folks who were mad at me. Some befriended me as well because they wanted to argue, even some relatives. But I remember the Panthers well. I wanted to get myself a beret and get me a black leather jacket because it was a fashion statement in Los Angeles in the late 60s, early 70s. But my mom had told me, have you lost your mind?
You know, and you know, you mentioned the symbolism, and there's some black people who have been so beaten down by not even the system that they feel is oppressing them, but by their own family members and others in the political elite and educational elite who tell them that they are nothing unless they are hateful of white men. And literally, they spend the rest of their lives, no matter how successful they are, miserable and empty, always envious of someone else, jealous of someone else, feeling that they didn't get theirs because someone else stole theirs, and it leads to death and destruction.
Yes. Always leads to death and destruction. When your value, if your attitude is such that I don't have because someone won't let me, because someone had their boot on my neck who kept me from attaining that which I felt was mine, I mean, you're already on the wrong course, in my humble opinion.
Yeah.
Last time I checked, God's word says he is the final arbiter in the affairs of man. So I don't care. You can have racist cops in Oakland. And let me just give you a classic example. My father has two younger brothers, or had two younger brothers. They've since passed on.
Mm-hmm.
And my father's dealing with Oakland PD was completely different than his younger siblings, his younger brothers. And his attitude towards dealing with them was completely different. He taught me, son, I had bigger fish to fry. So whatever issues were going on with the Oakland Police Department, I tried to stay out of their way. I didn't want them to know my name. I didn't want to know their name. I didn't want to know their badge numbers. I did whatever I could to keep from having to deal with them. My brothers, not so much.
Yeah.
And so you develop either a victim's mentality or you develop a victor's mentality. My father's attitude was, whatever this is, it's just a short stopgap until I get to where I'm really going. He said this from the time I was a kid. Son, I had bigger fish to fry. And for the longest time, Ken, I had no idea what the heck that meant. What do you mean you got bigger fish to fry? I get it now, but I didn't then. If your goals are ungodly things, if your goals are on success and being a victor, everything that you see that comes at you as obstacles are merely just things that you would overcome. You would use them as hurdles to catapult you onto the next level. But if you see them as things to keep you downtrodden, that's exactly how you're going to carry your life out.
Exactly. And we've seen it over and over in our community. And I'm not saying there are no bad apples. I'm not saying that there are no targeters. Of course, you're going to have that in whatever industry you're in. But, dude, you have an attitude already because he pulled you over. You don't know exactly what he may have been pulling you over for. And you don't know if he was going to just let you go. And now you got attitude. What's all that?
All that. And the other thing is that, and maybe this is a little arrogant on my behalf, my attitude is I'm smarter than you. Yeah. I'm going to use critical thinking. I'm not going to let you deter me from what God has appointed me, my appointed time, my true destiny, and where I'm headed. I'm not going to let you or anybody else stop me. That I said that, was it you and I were talking, or somebody speaking with the other day, that talked about, it was Patrick Hampton. When Frederick Douglass died a millionaire. He was born a slave, but died a millionaire. How did he do that? He had the equivalent of $300,000 in his estate, which I don't know how many millions of that would be equated to today. That was a lot of money back then in the late 1800s when he died.
Yep.
He owned his home, which is still here in Washington, D.C. area, and he paid cash for his home. He was married twice. His first wife he outlived. She was black. His second wife was white. How did that man accomplish that back then when there was Jim Crow, segregation, every other kind of stumbling block for those who happen to be black?
Exactly.
He didn't have a victim's mentality.
Exactly. Listen, I also want to key on something because we're running out of time, and I am so grateful that you come on the program. I want to give you time to talk about Lion Chaser's radio program, which is heard by over 7 million people a day. But how is it that you showed up to hear Bree Marie and Algebra Bassett and to look at the beautiful Jennifer Carroll? How did you show up, sir, to make that happen?
Well, I just happened to be in the right place at the right time and know some wonderful people who allowed me to participate in that event. Plus, you know, I got a crush on Jennifer Carroll anyway. I'll just put it out there. She's very happily married. I met her husband. He's a wonderful man. But I just got to say, I have a crush on her.
There you go. Nolan is an awesome dude. Congratulations, Nolan. But we're talking about the Trailblazers Republican luncheon. The Trailblazers luncheon that was held at the Willard Hotel. Your thoughts, your commentary on that, and then let us all know how we can listen to Lion Chasers on a daily basis.
Well, I think it was a seminal event. I'm thankful to Renard Jackson for the invitation to host the event. I think he hit the nail on the head. It should be an event that commemorates the true Trailblazers, individuals whose names you would not have heard of. I learned so much just from being there, folks, and I thought, I don't think I'm in the know as those who have conservative Christian principles who happen to look like us. But I learned a lot when I was there. And anyone in attendance, and I believe they did video. You need to get the video, and somebody needs to post it because it was a great event, and I was glad to play a small part in it. Yours truly, you got a chance to speak at the event. You did a stellar job as usual.
Thank you.
And I was just happy to be a part of it. Wonderful, wonderful people that were there and attended, and I know next year it's going to grow and get larger and larger. As for my show, brother, Lion Chaser Show Monday through Friday, and you can catch me on urbanfamilytalk.com. That's urbanfamilytalk.com. And it's the Lion Chaser Show, and urbanfamilytalk.com is a Christian radio platform birthed in and out of the wonderful ministry of American Family Association. We're on 7 terrestrial towers across the nation, and also via the internet, so you can catch us anywhere in the world.
That is awesome. One other thing, are you going to make your way out to Vegas this summer? Because we spoke with Dr. Mark Skousen, who is virtually a Nobel nominee when it comes to economics, who hosts Freedom Fest out there annually. And Raynard Jackson's taking the Trailblazers to Vegas. Are you coming to Vegas, sir?
I would certainly love to come. I know I didn't make it last year, and you guys made me rub my nose and fall asleep on your head. So it's on my calendar to go this year, sir.
Awesome. And I will be joining you and so many others. Huge events. I'll talk about that when we come out of the break. Lonnie Poindexter, Urban Family Talk. How can people listen to you tomorrow morning at 11 a.m.?
Tomorrow, actually, we'll have a guest host. Al Ashworth will be broadcasting because I'll be in the air traveling to Nashville, but that's urbanfamilytalk.com. urbanfamilytalk.com. When you go to the website, you can also click and find out what stations we are on in your local area, and catch us over your radio waves as well. But you can catch us on the internet, and there is an app you can download to listen to us on your smartphone.
Praise God. Thank you so much for coming on tonight, Lonnie. God bless you, sir. We will be back with more of the best in urban conservative talk. So much to talk about. We're heading into our commercial-free period. No more commercials after this break. The Exceptional Conservative Show live from the nation's capital. We'll be right back.
And today I'm going to walk you through some of the meals that we prepare here. we're making a pizza. We use French Italian sausage that we cook here and slice it up. Our pizza dough is in-house made. Our pizza sauce is in-house made. So everything is fresh and ingredients. This is our Thai curry chicken. The sauce is made with coconut milk and the Thai red curry. It is juicy chicken thighs as well as some mixed vegetables, served with jasmine rice and pita bread. So now we're going to prepare our famous blackened tilapia and grits, our fish and grits on the menu. And our meal will be complete. Let me tell you about our infused sweet burgers. When we kick the spice up just a little bit with our infused sauce. We start off with 80-20 USDA round chuck ham patty burgers, nice half a pound of burgers, and we're going to grill it to perfection. After I flip the burger, we add the sauce and let it cook on into the meat just a little bit. We're going to add a little bit of pepper jack cheese to this burger, spice it up a bit.
Ladies and gentlemen, don't make it your last time. Make it your first time every time. 6339 Allentown Road, Temple Hills, Maryland, 20748 301-449-9000. Infuse.com. Get your burger. Derek Williams, God bless you, sir. You do great work out there. And I didn't make it there this weekend. And I am regretful. I am really regretful.
That's terrible.
I know. But we will try to make our way out there very, very soon.
Swipe. It's gonna be a right swipe. This man has shaved his chest hair into a heart. Oh, you stole mine. Right swipe it.
Right swipe, right swipe. That kind of looks like my sister. It does. But I know she's not.
He's cuddling. I can't.
Oh my God, I want to eat their faces.
Oh, she's hot.
Oh, wait a minute.
That's a lollipop. Oh, that is not a lollipop. Left swipe.
Left swipe.
Must be some kind of job. If you think you're not tight and I'm not tight, if you're good and it's not a flow, I just left swipe. I just left swipe.
Left swipe that.
You gotta swipe it left.
Yeah.
You gotta swipe it
Left
left.
swipe that.
You gotta swipe it left. That's the stuff I don't like, so I gotta
Left swipe that.
Look at you with your shirt off, flexing. You're buff, but you puff, hashtag complexing. Yeah, you work out, you're in shape, okay. I like the six-pack abs, not the six-packs a day.
Came across a photo of this green-eyed hottie, whole nine, pretty face, tight waist, nice body. And I just couldn't overlook one small fact. She smokes like an old man at a racetrack.
This must be some kind of job. If you think you're not tight and I'm not tight, if you're good and it's not a flow, I just left swipe. I just left swipe.
Left swipe that.
You gotta swipe it left.
Yeah.
You gotta swipe it
Left
left.
swipe that.
You gotta swipe it left. That's the stuff I don't like, so I gotta
Left swipe that.
Mr. World Traveler, your trips look expensive. Sitting on a mountaintop looking all pensive. I was about to ask, how's the air up there? But based on this pic, I guess you don't really care.
Lots of chicks in the pic, not sure which one's you. Them cigarettes are taking y'all from 10s to 2s. And one thing's true about your whole crew, none of you cigarella's gonna be my boo.
Smoking with a tiger?
Left swipe that.
While you're on a hang glider?
Left swipe that.
Smoking while acting healthy.
Left swipe that.
Smoking all stealthy?
Left swipe that.
Smoking with a duck face.
Left swipe that.
At a monster truck race?
Left swipe that.
Smoking at the prom.
Left swipe that.
Even at a photo bomb?
He don't care. Left swipe that.
You gotta swipe it left.
Yeah.
You gotta swipe it
Left
left.
swipe that.
You gotta swipe it left. That's the stuff I don't like, so I gotta
Left swipe that.
You gotta
I'll never remember.
What could be worse for a country than to lose the confidence of the young patriotic kids who dream of service as a calling, an adventure, and a duty they can't refuse? An entire generation that can no longer believe they'll be honorably led and never forgotten. That watched leaders seem willing to abandon those who serve. And even worse, leave them and their families vulnerable to a lifetime of neglect and poverty. What could be worse for a country than a generation that is unwilling to serve it? It's the most dangerous symptom of a national sickness. The young men and women who swear an oath to defend freedom and obey their leaders should never feel even a flicker of a doubt that those leaders have their backs. Service is the sacred duty of a free people. Those who believe that so deeply they risk their lives for it deserve an unshakable loyalty. A commitment over all commitments. That's what good guys believe. And the 5 million men and women of the National Rifle Association of America stand and fight for that commitment. We feel what you feel. Join us.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you back to the Exceptional Considerer Show live from the nation's capital. We certainly are not ashamed of the good news of conservatism, for it is the power of liberation, first to the Republican and then the Democrat. Ladies and gentlemen, there is so much for us to talk about regarding your taxes, regarding our future, regarding our promise to our children in the pursuit of that particular promise. All I want you to know is, quite frankly, there is still hope for each and every one of us. Especially for a little girl named Unique. If you could have seen Unique's face while we were at the Trailblazers luncheon that Sunday, you would have been as elated as I was, and as smitten as I was, and as proud as I was. Unique was special. A little girl who had but one desire, and that was to see her hero, or at least her heroine. And while I'm welcoming you to the IRS Steel Cage tonight about improbable tax deductions, and we've talked about the situation that Patrick Hampton is in which death threats have come his way, and that he had to have police security and his church had to have security this weekend in order for him to worship in it. I too know what it's like to be attacked and to be threatened on every side, persecuted. But like Patrick, we don't give up, we don't give in, we don't give over. We fight the good fight. Unique was everything her name said. And yes, Unique, the Black Trailblazer, is alive and well in American politics. The green room was alit with excitable greetings amongst the many champions of public policy. Provocative conversation about China's economy and its impact on the U.S. economy. Nanny Helen Burroughs' cultural impact and the chasms between the Republican establishment and Tea Party radicals were fervent and boisterous. Amidst the afternoon's electricity, a little 5-year-old girl stood, bracing herself between two chairs, awaiting the opportunity of her life. How great it would be to return to her D.C. charter school to tell all that she had met her favorite trailblazer. Was she waiting for the elegant former Florida Lieutenant Governor Jennifer Carroll? No. Maybe it was one of America's great Jack Kemp urban economic pioneers, Robert Woodson, that stirred her fancy. No. Unique's choice of admiration was for a conservative that best supported her efforts to lead her dance and baton twirl team, music star Bria Marie. Posing with the Fresh Princess, pressing her autographed CD to her heart, Unique exuded a sense of appreciation, ambition, and hope that could only be found at the 4th Annual Black Republican Trailblazers Awards luncheon in Washington, D.C. Black Americans for a Better Future, founded by longtime Republican political operative, syndicated newspaper columnist, and author Raynard Jackson, hosted a transformational intergenerational weekend event. Not anchored to the symbols preferred and emanating a message that one is reaching out to blacks to try the Republican brand, Jackson chose the Willard International across the street from the White House to openly defy the myth, accepted woefully on both sides of the aisle, that it is a bleak pursuit of promise to recruit voters from urban America. With grace and precision, he honored such titans as Carroll, Woodson, trailblazing financier Ambassador Harold E. Doley Jr., legendary ABA NBA basketball player James Jimmy Jones, George H.W. Bush Presidential Library CEO Fred D. McClure, and Webster University Graduate School Professor Allegra McCullough, while promoting the values and principles of the conservative movement. Jackson weaved the personal victories of titans with the aspiration of grassroots champions not availed the limelight by national Republican organizations. Who'd heard of West Virginia delegate Jill Upson, Republican, outside of the coal mines of the Appalachian Mountains? Having lost by 286 votes to a Democrat incumbent in 2012, she faced challenges deemed insurmountable by those that believed outreaches advancing anti-abortion and anti-same-sex marriage messaging in urban centers during elections. She faced a Democrat incumbent in a population that was highly registered Democratic. With the encouragement of West Virginia GOP Chair Conrad G. Lucas II in 2014, Upson took her limited, lean, and effective government and low taxes message to we the people and became the first black female Republican ever to represent West Virginia District 65. Who knew? Standing before the honorees, Upson enlightened us that victorious trailblazers obscured by the competition for every black voter desire national notoriety through media invitations and physical support for their grassroots achievements. October endorsements before November general elections are nice, but pioneering campaigns need the reward of faithful party supporters. Upson is not the only candidate desiring to feel the love of a party that is repenting from its years of absence from urban America and rededication to black voters. Ralph Chittum Sr., D.C. GOP Vice Chairman, and Terry Galvez, former D.C. Republican Vice Chairwoman, represent the faces of urban conservative messengers that have trailblazed in communities adverse to the GOP machine. Each seeking delegate posts at the Republican National Convention understands that the modern GOP must not only be seen and heard, but must protect the values and principles of the GOP platform. Chittum advises that while bold electoral candidates are great, the real power is behind the scenes in recruiting men and women that desire not to change the platform to recruit voters, but seek to secure the platform to re-engage voters. The re-engagement is essential to reach persons that, after 50 years of Democrat rule, seek a message of entrepreneurship, safe neighborhoods, and prosperity that is not dependent on bureaucratic promises. Terry Galvez understood the power of Trailblazers Weekend. Not merely an attempt to check off a GOP event celebrating Black History Month, the weekend brought the isolated into family. She messaged her friends via Facebook. As I look around and see a room full of Black Republicans, this is really a place called hope. Hashtag hope. Black Republicans for a better future. Thanks, Kenneth McClinton, for inviting me. Hashtag DCGOP. On islands and urban progressive party politics, for once, Chitums and Galvez could see that their pioneering in the winter of urban GOP discontent was meriting the attention and hope they had deserved, or that they deserved. Jackson knows that urban warriors have been holding down the fort in the absence of a national GOP support for decades. The weekend gave hope to Trailblazer awardees Jimmy Jones, who by sport reaches people that have become deaf to the outreach offense. It gave hope to Harold E. Doley II, son of Trailblazer awardee, financier, ambassador Harold E. Doley Jr., as he seeks opportunities to open capital access to urban innovators and businesses mired in the dearth of financial deserts. It gave hope to Shannon Wright, running for Baltimore City Council president, who has to rebuild the city GOP while campaigning against the Black Lives Matter machine. Help is on the way. For a 5-year-old award-winning baton twirler, there is hope. She could love her hero up close and pioneer for the future in the same place. Yes, Unique, you are the promise, and we should pursue you with all of our heart, our mind, our soul, and our strength. You are worthy of the chase not because of the color of your skin, but because of the content of your beautiful, youthful character. Trailblaze on, baby. Trailblaze on. I want to put that blog in the chat roll. I want to thank y'all for spreading it around. It has reached the top 10 of writings in short order, too. I was very, very proud that people are reading it. I really am. And I encourage you to go to my blog post. And if you go to my blog post, you can read all my stuff. It's the Voice of Liberty blogpost.com. Blogspot.com. There you go. I want to get that right. Since I'm encouraging people to go to it, I want to make certain that they actually go to the right place. So there you go. You're listening to the Exceptional Conservative Show live on the nation's capital. TheExceptionalConservative.com. We've been talking tonight about taxes. I don't want to leave you without giving you some other insights. It's a wonderful tax write-offs that you can take this year, and I want you to do your very best in making certain that you keep as much of your money as you possibly can, because the government certainly will. I want you to take a look at several, and I want to thank as well the Kiplinger magazine and also Forbes for providing that information regarding taxes. But let's start at the very bottom. Number one, don't unnecessarily report a state income tax refund. I know you do it. I know a lot of people do it. They pop it in, got the 1040A, and it knocks them up to a 1040. And there's a reason why. Okay? And quite frankly, there's a line on the tax form for reporting a state income tax refund, but most people who get refunds can simply ignore it. Even though the state sent the IRS a copy of the 1099-G, you got reporting the refund. If, like most taxpayers, you didn't itemize deductions on your previous federal return, the state tax refund is tax-free. So if you did not itemize last year and you got a refund from your state, it is a tax-free refund. Okay? Even if you did itemize, part of it might be tax-free. It's taxable only to the extent that your deduction of state income taxes the previous year actually saved you money. If you would have itemized rather than taking the standard deduction, even without your state tax deduction, then 100% of your state refund is taxable. Since 100% of your write-off reduce your taxable income. But if part of the state tax write-off is what pushed you over the standard deduction threshold, then part of the refund is tax-free. So, ladies and gentlemen, be very careful when you're reporting your state tax refunds. If you don't have to, don't do it. Keep your money. Number 23. I think I might do this tomorrow. I don't know. Maybe this subject is not as sexy as talking about Donald Trump. I don't know. Maybe it's not as sexy. I think it's important, since most of you around April 14th will be wondering how come I didn't do a show on taxes to help you save money. You know what I'm saying? Legal fees paid to secure alimony. Yeah, times are tough, and sometimes we make bad decisions, and sometimes the people that we love are growing out of us faster than we're growing into them. Sometimes we go to divorce. Although legal fees and court costs involved in a divorce are generally non-deductible personal expenses, you may be able to deduct the part of your attorney's fees. All right? So if you had an attorney, you may be able to deduct their fees. Since alimony is taxable income, you can deduct the part of the lawyer's fee that is attributable to setting the amount. You can also deduct the portion of the fee that is attributable to tax advice. You must itemize to get any tax savings here. And these costs fall into the category of miscellaneous expenses that are deductible only to the extent that the total exceeds 2% of your adjusted gross income. Still, be sure your attorney provides a detailed statement. Break it down. Let us all see what you're charging me for. Okay? A detailed statement that breaks down his fee so you can tell how much of it qualified for a tax-saving deduction. Ladies and gentlemen, stop paying out the yang, giving your money away to the state and federal governments. You don't have to do that any longer. You don't. Keep your money. I want you to, and I hope that you do too. Also, amortizing bond premiums. Some of you all have invested in bonds, and if you purchase a taxable bond for more than its face value, as you might have to capture a yield higher than current market rates deliver, Uncle Sam will effectually help you pay that premium. That's only fair, since the IRS is also going to get to tax the extra interest that the higher yield produces. You have two choices about how to handle the premium. You can amortize it over the life of the bond by taking each year's share of the premium and subtracting it from the amount of taxable interest from the bond you report on your tax return. Each year, you also reduce your tax basis for the bond by the amount of that year's amortization. Or you can ignore the premium until you sell or redeem the bond. Now, for lazy people like me, 2 is a whole lot easier than 1. I don't want to deal with all the paperwork and all the changes or whatever. I'm going to deal with it when I sell it. But that doesn't mean you have to. Okay, not 1 cup. And if, ladies, you've been shopping for dresses, one size does not fit all. So if there are choices that you... Oh, man, I'm going to pay a heavy price for that statement. Then one size does not fit all. Is it too late? It's too late? I think it's too late. There you go. But ladies and gentlemen, reporting your bond income, quite frankly, if you're lazy like I am, wait until you sell or redeem the bond. At that time, the full premium will be included in your tax basis, so it will reduce the taxable gain or increase the taxable loss dollar for dollar. So there you go. Good choices there. Okay. Now, a lot of people wouldn't talk to you like this because they think that their audience is not as brilliant, couldn't handle this kind of stuff. But my audience is brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. It's a requirement that you have an IQ to listen to this show. You know, intrinsically cooperative. No, that's not a Q word. Whatever. So you got to be prepared. And I want y'all to be very wealthy. There is a waiver of penalty for the newly retired. And this is where we're going to stop here, and we'll pick it up probably tomorrow. I'm getting my taxes done by AARP on March 21st. I wish I could do your taxes for you for free at the VITA program down here in D.C. But I'm glad that you're going to AARP, Mary. Really am. Wish AMAC would sponsor my program. That way we would be competitive with AARP. But I'm losing moments here. Let me go ahead and say this. Waiver penalty for the newly retired. Now, this is not a deduction, but it can save you money if it protects you from a penalty. Because our tax system operates on a pay-as-you-earn basis, taxpayers typically must pay 90% of what they owe during the year via the withholding or estimated tax payments. If you don't, and you owe more than $1,000 when you file your return, you can be hit with a penalty for underpayment of taxes. The penalty works like interest on a loan, as though you borrowed from the IRS the money you didn't pay. The current rate is 3%. There are several exceptions to the penalty, including a little-known one that can protect taxpayers aged 62 and older in the year they retire in the following year. You can request a waiver of the penalty using Form 2210. Mary, tell all your friends. Form 2210. Form 2210. Get the form and fill it out, and we'll talk more about that tomorrow. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, a friend of mine told me, be brave. Don't die a coward. I promise you I most certainly will. And always remember, God blessed America. Now it's time for America to bless God. Thank y'all so much for tuning in tonight. We'll be back tomorrow night. We'll continue talking about taxes, how to save some money, and how to keep the IRS steel cage closed with you walking out the victor. Good night and God bless.